Good morning and welcome to TCCA. We are ready, booked. We have Flipping Good Text that's getting ready to come on, you guys. I hope you are excited. We are super excited and ready to go. I want to make sure that you are comfortable. You have your coffee ready. You have your toast, eggs, bacon. Save me a piece. Just kidding. Anyway, so let me introduce them and bring them on in the room. We are all in here ready to go, you guys. I'm excited. We're excited. You guys, hey, take it away, Flipping Good Text.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, everybody. Wow. Thanks for being here on a Saturday morning. We've got a special treat for you. We're going to do a design sprint in about 45 minutes. But I want to introduce ourselves. We are Flippin' Good Tech. We are this crazy, zany podcast. Oh, you can hear a baby in the background. Just heads up. My beautiful wife had a baby yesterday at 9 p.m. and here I am. Here we are in the hospital room. I'm not kidding you. This is part of the chapter of I don't make things up. This is just crazy. And I'm running on 4 hours of sleep the past 2 days, but I am so excited to be here to go through this design journey. And I can't thank my friends here more than enough, Elizabeth King and Melissa Balcom. And we're going to just rock this together. So what are we
Awesome.
talking about again? I totally forgot.
We're doing design sprints in 45 minutes, or I should say you are. Design sprints in 45 minutes. We are so glad you're here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we're going to get going. All right. So we've got the link here, and we might have one of our helpers, our special hosts and co-hosts, drop that link for you in the chat so you can follow along with us if you want. But if you're not comfortable multitasking and you just want to sit back with your coffee, like Heather said, you can do that. And we're just going to guide you through this process. And you guys just heard from Daryl live on the scene from the hospital with his brand new baby girl. And they are doing amazing. Everybody's doing great. And Daryl, go ahead and tell them who you are and what your credentials are, I guess.
All right, so just giving you a heads up, baby's about to get a bath. So you're gonna hear some running from a nurse. Like, can I show you? Can I show the people what's happening right now? I'm gonna flash. All right, look at that. Ah, her name is Olivia, a wonderful nurse. She rocks. Oh my goodness, she's gonna steal the show. Look at that. She's about to get a bath. And my beautiful wife over there doing great, waving to the camera. Okay, so. Who am I? My name is Daryl Legaspi. I am part of Flippin' Good Tech. I am a media specialist for a wonderful high school in Humble ISD where I help teachers explore technology and innovation and integrating it into their curriculum. You can follow me at EdTech Legaspi. We love Google. I'm a certified Google trainer, and I'm also an innovator as of last year in New York City, 2019. That's who I am. I'm going to pass it along to my partner in crime, my great friend, Elizabeth King. Which direction are you? You're here somewhere. There you go.
I think I mentor you, the Brady Bunch squares. I'm Elizabeth King. I'm currently a project manager for Fry Technology. And I did work in Humble ISD with Daryl and one of our really good friends who's in here with us today helping us out. And I'm also a lover of all things Google, certified educators, level 1 and level 2. I got to catch up to Daryl. And you can follow me on Twitter at Elizabeth King 88. And we have our great friend Melissa Balcom with us. She is here. Golly, man, she was like our backup. Okay. This is a beautiful picture of Daryl and his wife and their new baby, Olivia, just so you guys can see them up close. And Melissa, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, friends. My name is Melissa Balcom, and I am a librarian at an elementary school in Humble ISD, and I'm just here to help and follow along and learn with you guys.
Oh, she was a lifesaver for us. She was our backup person. Man, we just called her up, said, hey, Melissa, can you help us in case Daryl can't be there? And she was like, I'll do anything for you guys, and we just appreciate her so much.
I would.
All right, Dale, take it away.
All right. Okay, I'll try to be louder than the cries back there. But this is where it all started for me. If it gets too crazy, Elizabeth, let me know, and I'm going to pass it along to you, all right?
Sounds good.
This is where it begins for me, my design thinking journey and how I got into design thinking. All in 8th grade, I had a problem. I couldn't get to the bottom of this peanut butter jar because peanut butter, once you get to the bottom, you stick the knife in, it gets all over your hand. So what did I do? In 8th grade, I was tasked with an innovative project. I had to invent something that would solve some sort of problem that I encountered. So I came up with this. It's a 2-lidded Jif peanut butter jar. I'm a Team Jif, by the way. It's not Gif, it's Team Jif. And what you gotta do, if it's on the bottom, you just flip it over, unscrew the cap, and then you can get the peanut butter off the cap.
Daryl, this is an absolutely brilliant idea. When you first told me about it, the first thing I asked was, did you get it patented?
Did I get it patented? No, I did not, because I was an 8th grader. I had no idea what that meant, patented. But here's the thing. I watched a TV show about a year later called Figure It Out, and there was an audience member there who actually invented this themselves. So I wasn't the original maker, apparently. They beat me to it. Google didn't exist before, so I couldn't search and figure out, is this really a patent? But what I want to let you know is I had fun inventing this thing and solving a problem that I was, that I had. Okay? So we can move it to the next. Design thinking, the focus is falling in love with the problem. It's not the solution, it's the journey and the passion that you have poured into a problem that you've encountered, okay? And that you want to solve for the sake of everybody out there. And I love you all for being here. Thank you. I got a few inspirations for this particular presentation. I am a certified Google for Education innovator. And for a year, this whole program, I am trying to solve a problem that I see in education and find something that's impactful that will help education altogether. Okay, so I'm still doing the design thinking process in my craft and what I do, and it's just, I love it. That's a picture of me stuck in an elevator for 15 minutes at the New York City Google headquarters. You can see the fear in my face. I thought I was going to die in that elevator, but here I am. I'm alive and I have a baby girl. Crazy
and
thing.
That was obviously pre-COVID because you guys are not social distancing and there are no masks.
I know, exactly. Can you imagine? Oh my goodness. We were stuck between floors 6 and 7. It was insane. Who is this for? This is for anyone, everyone. You sitting there on your bed or in your hammock out in the backyard. This is for everybody and anyone. Design thinking is for anyone. The process can be as long as you want or as short as you want it, as long as you fall in love with the problem. This is great for your students. Your students can go through this in any subject matter whatsoever. You don't have to dedicate a whole 2 months to a project-based learning, innovative design thinking project. You can do it all in one class period, and we're going to show you how. All righty. We think design thinking as a problem and a solution, but there's more to it. There are more steps through this process. Okay, go ahead and click the button, and I'll show you. This is what the design thinking process really looks like. So go ahead. It's a mess. It is a mess, but you're going to relish in the mess of design thinking. There are lots of steps, lots of journeys, lots of moments where you're just going to pivot. Something might not work, so you're just going to take a step back, and you're going to just enjoy the moment, okay?
I think that's a really important thing, Daryl, to consider is like a lot of times when we face a problem, we do one of two things. We're either like we give up because we're like, this is impossible to solve, or we're like, let's just like get to the solution already. So we go to the first thing that we think, oh, this is the best solution to the problem without going through that process. And it's not linear. I think you've mentioned that to me before. It's not a linear process. It's more fluid. Exactly. It's very loopy.
And that's a good point. It's like we go through the design thinking process because we want to come up with a solution quick. But really, we have to figure out, like, is this problem really a problem that's worth spending time to solve? Am I passionate about this problem? Does it benefit others around me if I solve this problem? So using that passion, that understanding of what the problem is, you use that to develop a solution that you're going to be very proud of. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Elizabeth. That's great. Awesome. And of course, you can always loop back. So we're going to go through the 6 components of design thinking, okay? And this process isn't, it's pretty basic throughout the Google Innovator Academy, the Design Sprint book, Google Sprints, and this other book I'm reading about Design Sprints in the Toolbox. But there are 2 main parts. You got the problem and you got the solution. And the problem can then be divided by 3 components. empathizing with your users, because that's who is it for. You have to understand the user, observing the user. What are they going through? What type of features will my solution need? Actually, at this point, you're not even talking about the solution, it's the problem. And then defining the problem. Defining the problem with a how might we statement. Then we get to the fun part of creating solutions. Okay, again, focus on the problem before we come up with a solution. And the whole ideation process, like it's all about quantity and not quality. Oh, okay, look, baby, stop crying. She's good. Yay. Thanks for bearing with that. Yeah, I had to get used to that. Oh my gosh.
That's a beautiful sound.
It's a beautiful sound until you hear it, I guess, 24
hours.
But the solution phase, ideating, coming up with as many solutions as you can and not worrying about if this solution is going to fail or not, okay? The promoting growth mindset and failing forward. And then creating prototypes and then testing these prototypes to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing based on the user experience. So we're going to go through this whole process in about 20 minutes.
Can I add one little thing here to this?
Please
because
do.
When you first told me, you walked me through this whole process after you had experienced this firsthand with the Google Innovator, I was like, man, I did this without knowing what I was doing. And I probably skipped over some steps, quite honestly. But I did it partially when I came up with my note-taking strategy that I use now when I go to conferences. And I've got a session later in the day called Polaroid Notes. And the way that came about was exactly what we're talking about in this session. I had a problem, which I'll mention in that session. And I was like, I've got to come up with a better solution, a better way to handle this. And came up with a prototype and kind of tested it and kept improving upon it. So, and then invited other people to kind of enjoy or engage in the conversation about it too. So it works. This whole process works. It really does.
And the part of inviting people into part of the project, that's how, user interface, getting empathy, getting other people's I call it feed forward, not just feedback, because it's propelling us into making a greater solution. So, man, Elizabeth, your journey with Polaroid Notes, that's a 4 hour debate. Polaroid Notes, man, it's amazing stuff. And if there's at the 3 o'clock, right? It's that session.
Yeah, it's 3.
You don't want to miss that session or any of the other sessions we're doing today. So we got a great mix. And again, I just want to thank you all for being here and bearing with the crying in the background. The crying has stopped. Mommy is with baby right now. She's all clean. She had her first bath. So here we go. This is the type of mindset we need to have when approaching design thinking, the beginner's mindset, okay? If your mindset is unprejudiced, it's open to everything and anything. We go in thinking that we don't know anything about this project, so any solution is a possibility, even if the solution has already been created, okay? A lot of things out there, like the different iPhones, Android phones, not one company invented that smartphone, but they improved on someone else's design, okay? So it doesn't have to be exactly original. So go in with a beginner's mindset of not, I know how things work, but rather, I wonder how it works. I wonder if I did this. So open to the beginner's mindset. And that's why I noticed makerspace and a lot of stuff you see in the elementary school, Elizabeth. I see a lot of this in the elementary school. And I'm thinking maybe it's because they already have that mentality that there is no wrong way of doing it. I'm just going to discover things on my own. And then we kind of progressively, I don't know, that's just my observation. We progressively lose that as we get to middle school or high school.
I think you're right about that because we are both secondary background, middle school, and I taught high school for a while as well. So there's something that gets sort of lost in those middle and high years. Melissa Balcom, our friend who's here today, she's an elementary librarian. She probably could really, really speak to that curiosity of those younger grades.
And that's what it is. It's curiosity. They haven't lost that part. And we as teachers and educators haven't sort of tainted that yet with grades and rubrics and like that. So they don't have as much pressure on them. So their minds can be.
I love that. So the key, I think, and the challenge for us as secondary folks is how do we transfer that into those older grades? How do we inspire them and make them just want to be engaged in the learning process, not just get to the end product right away?
Correct. Changing that mentality, changing that shift. And we're going to try to do that right now, because even as adults, we have to go through this design thinking process with that beginner's mindset in mind, okay? So basically, I'm going to go through each component really quick. Empathy, like what is empathy? Putting yourself in the user's shoes. It's all about user experience and understanding what is that user facing right now. Then we have observation, establishing a point of view. Like, okay, I'm observing them. I see that they're having issues with this. I see what they're seeing. I hear what they're hearing. I hear what they're saying. Okay, I hear what they're hearing, hear what they're saying. But understanding and establishing a point of view. Okay, go to the next one. Define. I love this. I love this. I learned this in the Innovator Academy. And if you're doing project-based learning, this is kind of like your driving question. How might we? Okay, how might we? And every single word here is purposeful. Like how? There are many possibilities to your solution. There's not just one right solution, but how? How can we? Might. You don't have to succeed in your solution as long as you fall in love with your problem. So it's a safe zone. You're establishing a culture in your classroom that you may or you may not find the solution. The solution may or may not work, but you are trying to discover and learn from within and create a solution based on what you're passionate about. And it's a collective whole. You can't go far alone. You need other people to provide feedback, feed forward. When you're doing project-based learning, design thinking, pull outside resources, your community, other grade levels, parents of your students, your friends, Melissa and Elizabeth. Okay, you know them on Twitter. Just shoot them up. They'll answer questions for you. But I love this component in design thinking. This one statement, how might we? So powerful. I think I'm going to cry. And then the one before that, I think there's one more before that, Elizabeth, sorry, is to ideate. Quantity breeds quality. The more solutions we can come up with, it doesn't have to be a great solution. If it pops in my brain, I'm going to write it down, because who knows? Even like the solutions that are like not the greatest, like, well, that's crazy, that's never going to work. You might find a way to make it work. And that could be your challenge. I'm going to make this solution that doesn't seem feasible to make it work. Okay, so quantity breeds quality. The next one is prototype. Oh, there you go, prototype. So we got to create something, and in all design thinking, we're going to create something. It's just that we're going to come up with solutions. We're going to actually create it with our hands and our feet. Wait, do you create stuff with your feet? Wow. Like, no. My toes are very dexterous. I do my circuiting there. Anyways, so build a facade, right? If you look at these charts here, you think early Saturday morning, we're going to look at charts and graphs. Build a facade. If you build the real thing, you're going to take so much time building that real thing, and you're going to be so invested that once you provide feedback or feed forward, people are going to give you feed forward you don't want to hear, and you get so offended by it. When we're building a facade in a classroom, it doesn't have to be fully functional. It's your minimum viable product. You're spending not a lot of time, but you have something that people can actually test, and you can launch at a faster rate, and you're not emotionally invested in the product. So kids, you give them some tin foil and you give them some pipe cleaners, they can make a simple prototype that conveys the message that they're trying to do. Did I say that? Was that good?
Yeah, no, I love the way that you explained that. And I love the idea of not being offended when you're getting the feedback. And that's a great thing to foster in our students, because I think as a society, people are quick to be offended about a lot of things. So if we can kind of let our students know, hey, it's okay. We need to be considerate of other people's viewpoints. We need to be understanding of their perspectives. Not everybody has the same one as we do. And sometimes theirs brings some more value to the conversation than anything we could have ever thought of. So we need to have that kind of mindset of being accepting and of others' points of view and perspective. I love that point.
Thank you. And then we got the test. Of course, we got to test it out. And again, you can test out a facade. You can put it in the hands of a potential user, and they can pretend that it's working, and you can get some information feed forward from that. Like, for example, this session right here. This session right here was part of my design. Like, I'm going to do a design project on design thinking. So here it is. We created this presentation. This is actually the first time we're presenting on this topic, letting you know. And the next part here, I am going to have Melissa and Elizabeth actually test out this process that we've created here. So look at that. I'm actually getting data and research from a live presentation on this presentation. It's like, what is that? Metacognition, learning
Yeah.
about it. Is that what I mean?
It's
Okay.
actually scary is what it is. That's what I call it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we mentioned the pictures in the slides, didn't we? Did anyone pick up on that? Elizabeth got shipped off to jail.
Yeah, we created a story with the pictures. So if anybody caught onto that, you can comment on the chat if you saw that storyline. It was if we would have had time, we could have changed the story and had Daryl driving an ambulance to the hospital with Sabrina in the back. Yeah. All right. So let's get to the challenge. We're right on time too. I'm proud of us. All right. And guys, feel free to ask questions in the chat. We may not be able to answer them to the very end of the session, but we want you to feel comfortable with the process. So if you have a question, make sure that you ask it, and we'll do our best to answer them when we get to the end. But we want to make you feel comfortable with this process. Okay. All right. What's our challenge, Daryl?
Your challenge, if you choose to accept, and it will self-destruct in about 30 hours. That's when the presentation will get unpublished. Just kidding. Just kidding. Grocery shopping, Elizabeth and Melissa. Grocery shopping is a pain. So I'm going to give you.
That's why I don't do it.
Then how do you survive? You just go.
Team shift.
Shift. Yeah.
There you go.
Grocery pickup, drive through.
Well, there you go. You already came up with a solution. Don't grocery shop at all.
Exactly. All right. So let's go on to the activity. So this is the slide where Daryl has given us all those steps that he went over so perfectly before, the 6 phases of this process. And on the slide, and you guys will have access to the presentation through the Sched app. And then also if you took a picture of the slide where we had the link on it earlier, or if you got it in the chat, you'll have access to these as well. So Melissa and I are going to be in this first link, I Saw Design Practice. And then you guys, for your own benefit, if you want to use this in your own classroom, Daryl's created a template for you. So that second link right there is an actual template that you could use to test out in your classrooms. Okay. So Melissa, are you ready?
I can't get into that. Do you want to put that link in the chat?
Yes. Okay. If you have that presentation open, Melissa, on your screen in non-present mode, it's in the notes section.
Okay. All right.
So you got it?
Yep.
Perfect. All right, Daryl, you want to set us up?
Sure. So we have different activities per step in the design thinking process. And these activities are all embedded within a Google slide presentation. So you're just going to hand this to your students and they're going to run with it. Or if you want to come up with your own solution, maybe it's a problem you encountered on your campus and you want to benefit your whole entire staff, you can go through the design thinking process by downloading this template and working straight from the Google slide. So I'm going to hand it to Melissa and Elizabeth, and they're going to go through some of these steps for you. We're not going to go through the whole entire thing because we're not going to prototype and test right here, right now, but we're going to share some of our favorite activities in this presentation. Okay?
Okay, so what the first 2 activities on slide 2 and slide 3 are going to deal with is the empathy phase. And I kind of, when Daryl was talking through this with me, I sort of use the comparison of like if you go to therapy, not that any of us in this room have gone to therapy, but I feel like I need to sometimes. But if you do and you're talking to someone and you just need someone to listen to you, there are certain phrases that you use when you're listening to what problem or what issue someone's having. As the listener, you want to be very empathetic with their problem and ask them questions like, well, what I heard you say is, and what I think I'm hearing is, those types of things, and just really listen to what they think the problem is and take some notes. So we've already got some things right here on the screen. Melissa, when we talked about this, I've got some notes written already, so I don't have to spend the time typing them. But Melissa, when we talked about the challenge of grocery shopping, just give the audience an idea of what your problems that you've faced.
All right, so here's why I became a dedicated Shipt shopper, which is very expensive, and I would like to find a way to not be that anymore because it is high dollar. But my issues revolve around having time and having to take all of my children, all of their things, all of their masks, all of their iPhones to keep them busy, which Daryl will soon become understand all of these issues. It also involves having enough room in the cart to make sure that I have enough room for all of these children and all of their things, all of the bags. I think back to when we were shopping, trying to find toilet paper, and you come across that toilet paper aisle where you have, hit the mother load of toilet paper. So you file all of that stuff into your cart. And now you don't have room for the rest of the stuff. Issues like that.
Yeah. So in the classroom, if we were doing this, you might pair up a couple of students and have one student present the problem that they're having and then have another student listening to it and taking some notes. So they're like writing this stuff down, which is what you see on this screen at the bottom. When Melissa and I first went through this, I was taking some notes with her. I heard her say, getting every child out of the car into the cart is a challenge.
Absolutely, it is.
Sanitizing the carts because of COVID now is a challenge. Having the kids wear masks when they go into different places is a challenge. And even the cart itself, balancing the kids and the groceries, moving from the car to the store can become a challenge. So these are some of the things I heard her say. So the next slide is also an empathy activity, which we won't do or demonstrate here. But this one really takes you deeper. And Daryl, feel free to jump in because this is your baby. Literally today. Wow, I didn't plan that, man. You can't plan that stuff. So on this slide, we go deeper. We're really thinking, okay, I need to step into Melissa's shoes or that user's shoes and really understand what they're hearing when they're talking about these children, managing that, what they're feeling, what they're seeing. I need to really feel their pain, right? To be able to help them maybe come up with some solutions to the problem. So this little activity here is something that you could work through using the sticky notes in the gray space to the margin over here. As the user and the listener, you can click on the sticky notes, you can add these to the gray space, move it over into the appropriate area of the slide, and then type directly onto that shape. Some of the things that you heard, some of the things that you heard that they felt, and things like that. Okay.
Yeah, awesome. We wanted to throw in some design techniques with Google Slides as well in this presentation and this template. So if you notice, we're using the outside space, and in the design thinking process, and all the books that I've read and the academy that I've been to, they love their Post-it notes. But this is the only way of making Post-it notes digitally. You don't have to pay for them. It's free, not free. They're free Post-it notes. Use the gray space.
And it's okay if in the classroom you're not using this digitally and you're working through the process with real Post-it notes. I don't know if you can see mine, but I've got a whole bunch of them right here at my disposal, even though I love technology. So you can use the real Post-its, or you can use the digital ones, just like this. All right, so that takes us to the next phase. And I believe, Daryl, you said this was your favorite one.
Yes. So this is the point of view. So we define the problem in steps. So we gave the problem as there's a grocery shopping. It's a pain. It's such a broad problem. So students in your classroom, and depending on how you want to set it up, can, from within that broad problem, they can focus on certain things. So based on Melissa and Elizabeth's conversation, Elizabeth being the designer, Melissa being the user, Elizabeth will summarize Melissa's feelings, point of view, based on the conversation, the 2-minute conversation that they had, if you're doing a design sprint in the classroom, okay? So she's really synthesizing the information and putting it in one sentence, and that's it. No less, no more. What truly is Melissa feeling whenever she encounters grocery shopping, which Elizabeth is doing right now. And What we've done is this slideshow is created as we edited the master. So if you handed this to the student, they can't drag and drop the text or delete it on accident. Everything is like pasted in the background or embedded in the background of the slideshow, so they can just type in those boxes and not worry about deleting and getting rid of things. Okay, so it makes it easier for students who are not very familiar with Google Slides or whatnot. Okay, so Elizabeth came up with the point of view based on Melissa's discussion and what she was saying. Now we have to further synthesize that information so we truly understand what the problem is and define it in what I call the how might we statement. Okay, and if you've done any root cause analysis, and if you're a teacher out there, I'm sure you've asked your students why multiple times. You ask yourself why. Why is this a problem? And you can't take that answer as it. You got to keep asking why until you end up with the root cause.
I feel like this is the most challenging part of the entire process.
It really is. It really is. And this part is truly understanding, is this really the problem? Is it really the problem, or is it something else? And whatever you started with initially could be totally different once you get to the end, but you at least understand truly what the problem is, okay? Once you get to the end, then you establish your how might we, and you notice on the right side, it's like a Mad Lib. Is it Mad Lib?
A Mad Lib.
Mad Lib, where you just fill in the blank. What's your verb, the noun, and then who is it for, okay? Who is it for? Okay. And that diagram in the back, you want to make sure your how might we statement just hits that middle zone. You don't want it too broad where you can't really come up with a solution or single that solution out. And you don't want it too narrow where it's too specific. You want it to reach that just peachy zone. Okay.
Sorry, Daryl, my clicking skills were not just peachy at that moment.
Good. And I think we're doing good on time. What do you think? And you want to add anything else, Melissa or Elizabeth?
Well, I think the next slide is where Melissa, we're gonna have her go ahead and throw some stuff onto that axis slide you've got there.
Yeah.
The ideation slide, which I love so much. So I think, Daryl, I can maybe quasi explain it, but jump in if you need to add more. So for the ideation phase of this process, this is like a lot of brainstorming. We're just like, Melissa's going to be just throwing some Post-its down with a lot of possible solutions to her problem. She's going to grab Post-it notes from the gray space or actual Post-it notes in the classroom. If she's doing it in the classroom, she's going to start just dumping them all over this space. Notice that the grid here, or the chart, is an axis. You've got a y-axis and an x-axis. You've got impact on the left and feasibility on the bottom. So eventually, as Melissa starts throwing these possible solutions to her problem on here, she's going to take these Post-its and start moving them where she thinks they fit according to that axis. And Daryl, tell us what the end goal is from this.
Yeah, the end goal is like when you're coming up with a solution. I know a lot of people think that the solution must be original, but this matrix can be adapted to however you feel like. But I feel like these two criteria, impact and feasibility, are important with a solution that is innovative. Okay, the x-axis is feasibility. Now, we expect the student to actually create these solutions, or student or teachers or whoever's doing it to do the solution, to actually make the solution. So you have to truly understand yourself. How feasible is it that I would actually accomplish this solution? So you rank that from left to right on the x-axis. The further you are to the right, the more feasible it is, okay? But then you also want to look at impact. How impactful is the solution? Will it just impact me as a sole user, or will it impact a lot of people? So you want to put it up higher if it's going to impact a lot of people. Now, to help you centralize your solution, if you're going to just pick just one, whatever is in the farthest right in that golden zone, in the top right quadrant. I guess if you're a math or geometry teacher, it's like quadrant 1 in the Cartesian plane, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Once it's there, you know that's a solution that I can probably work on this and have big impact and actually be able to accomplish the solution. So this 2x2 matrix is there to help you decide of my many solutions, because quantity is greater than quality. Find one that is feasible and that could be impactful. And again, you can change the x and y axis to whatever you want. So you could even do by cost analysis versus, I don't know, how much time it would take me to do it. You know, it's very, and I can throw verbs in there that you can customize that. But I love this process. And if you notice on the left, we have a timer there. It's supposed to take them 2 minutes. Whatever comes up here, you just write it down. Even if it sounds like a dumb idea, just write it down. So stream of thought, you're just throwing it in the beginner's mindset. There isn't one set solution. Just throw it on the page.
I love this activity, Daryl, and I think it just evokes such a higher level of thinking. That's what we strive to get our students to do, right? It's very difficult sometimes to get them to go deeper and to think deeper. And this activity really lends itself to that. And I'm looking at Melissa's solutions that she's got on the Post-its, and I'm dying. I'm laughing so hard on the inside right now because they're hilarious. Because that's my initial thought too, Melissa. Just leave the kids at home.
Yes.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful because leave kids at home. It is a solution, high impact feasibility. But now we have another problem
Well, here's the thing. I don't know if that's a solution for you.
Exactly.
Just leave some water and food in a bowl for your dogs. Not for the baby. I'm just kidding. Please don't report me to whatever.
Daryl, do not leave your baby at home. Okay?
Yes.
That was a joke. I've had my baby for one day and I'm already singing through it.
Leave
That
her
was a joke. I know this is live. I know it's recorded. It was a joke.
Oh my goodness. I love the activity so much. But you're right. A lot of these solutions lead us to more questions. And that's just part of the process. And I think that in the real world, as we say all the time, that is exactly what happens. No one comes up with a really great idea without going through this process. And we have a really good friend, a good relationship with Josh Feinsilber from GimKit, the creator of GimKit. He's 19 years old. And he started creating GimKit when he was a sophomore in high school, which was 2 years ago. And GimKit has taken off and it is one of the most highly used ed tech tools in classrooms today. And we've talked to him on our podcast twice, and he has told us the exact same thing. The way that he came about creating GimKit was going through a process very similar to this. So, gosh, if you haven't researched his story, I highly encourage. That's a plug for GimKit and Josh Feinsilber because we are so impressed with him.
And I remember the conversation we had with him, Elizabeth. I believe when he went this process, if he were to put GimKit on this 2x2 matrix, he would have put GimKit high impact but low feasibility because I don't believe he had coding background at all, right?
No.
He had to learn and grow through the process to make it an actual solution that he made happen. And he did it. He did it.
He did it.
So it's a journey. It's a journey. It's a journey.
Yeah, I agree. So tell us about this last couple of slides here.
Okay, sure. So prototype, as I said, you can do so much with foil and pipe cleaners. Really, you can really build a prototype based on that. But this is a Google slide presentation, and you're probably teaching kids virtually from home, and they can still go through the design thinking process with a Google slide presentation, as long as they have a camera and a mic. There's this wonderful extension made by Clay Codes. That's his Twitter handle, and I believe he was part of the Google Innovator Academy. You can record a video straight up on Google Slide, push a button, and that video goes straight into the Google Slide. If you're a Screencastify user, you know how much of a pain that is. You record the video. You process it in your Google Drive. You find the link in your Google Drive. You embed it into your Google Slide presentation. That's 77 steps. Record to slide extension, which it's a plug for our next session. Mm-hmm. You press one button, you talk and you record on your screen, push another button, it goes onto the slide magically.
Yeah, so it's an amazing tool.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. That's definitely in our Chrome extension session coming up at 10 o'clock. What about this one?
All right. So now anything you test, you want to get the feed. I call it feed forward. Feed forward was from an episode in Cult of Pedagogy. Oh, I forgot his name. I'm getting shout out to whoever you are. My mind's blank. 4 hours of sleep.
Okay. Jennifer Gonzalez?
Jennifer Gonzalez had an episode with this person who talked about effective feed forward in classes. And what I like about this strategy is, again, the point of feedback is so you can improve. It doesn't stop at feedback and then, That's what beginner's mindset. Sometimes you might get feedback that you're not appreciative of because you spend so much time on a prototype. That's why we're focusing on a facade. So you're opening up your mind, emotions to the side about feedback. So we have the I like. What do you like about the solution? I wish. What can you add to this that would make it better? I wonder. Okay, so and the verbiage, the terms that we're using, it's not, what am I looking for? It's not aggressive in nature. It's just the curiosity. I wonder, and aha. So I went through your product. I'm testing your prototype, and these are the things that I discovered. Did you notice you could also do this? And again, that's why the how might we're trying to figure this solution out together and understand each other to come up with a viable solution that's impactful and feasible. So this is the feedback test component of the design thinking process.
I love it too. And I think another thing to mention about using the Post-its that's so important is that the Post-its make it not permanent. Like, I'm not writing with pen onto the templates or whatever and saying, this is my solution. I'm grabbing these Post-it notes that can be changed, they can be switched out as I go continuously through this fluid process of getting to a facade of a prototype for the problem I'm solving.
Love it. Very good.
All right. And the last slide here is just some resources, I think, right?
Yeah, I have to do my works cited for things that I've taken. So that picture, the facade picture, came from that sprint book. And a lot of the strategies that I'm showing here, I've digitized and I've learned through many resources. The design thinking toolbox, you've got like hundreds of different design thinking strategies. So I try to curate all of that into this presentation. My experience in the Google Innovator Academy, when I had to personally go through this process, edu protocols using Google Slides for activities. So, that's what we do. Like this idea isn't original, okay? But we're looking and we're doing the scamper technique and substituting and pulling things together. And I'm very passionate about design thinking, and there's just so much out there. I'm always wanting to learn things, but I'm hoping like this guide will be a great start for you in your design thinking journey, or your students as well.
I think that's the challenge too. Sometimes it's like teachers want to do this and maybe they're already doing it and students are doing it to a degree, but they don't have the process or the template that really helps them go deeper with it. And this is a beautiful, beautiful place to start. I love it, Daryl. And I can't tell you're passionate about it at all. It's not coming through. I was like, when is he going to start being passionate? I'm waiting. I've been waiting the whole time.
It's high coffee.
All right, we're doing great on time. I hope, guys, that it hasn't been too fast for you, but we did want to share this information with you because we said earlier in our show that we do a podcast, and we've been doing it for about 1.5 years now, and we do it about once a month because we do an audio and video version of it. This is kind of a promo that Daryl put together of a lot of clips from some of our seasons, and we've interviewed a lot of amazing ed tech people. So check it out. But here's the one thing we've been missing with our podcast. We haven't had any teachers on, and we want some teacher guests. So we would like you to be our flipping guest. If you so desire, the link is there. Someone may be putting it in the chat for you, but there's a form. We'd like to get your feedback a little bit on any of the sessions we're doing today to help us improve our craft. But also, if you're interested in being a guest on our show and talking about how you are going to try to implement some of the things you've learned from our sessions so that we can see how the practical application's working with students, we want you there, okay? We want you for Flipping Good Tech. So anyway, that's that plug. And I think that leads us, if I'm not mistaken, Heather, are we right on time now?
Man, we're good.
Hey,
so we didn't practice this.
You guys are better than good, okay? Better than good. I mean, it's like we've been doing this forever.
Right.
Everything just right on time. So I want to say thank you so very much. I've learned a lot. A lot of time, many people don't really understand our role, but we support instruction as well, working with teachers, working with principals, program directors. I think this tool is an absolute value to instruction, helping not just with the small grouping of students, but I love the fact that we could even incorporate this in sliding it into Schoology and having that interactive component, possibly even using it in, of course, Schoology conferences. So I just love it. I really, really do. I sincerely appreciate your time. Thank you so very much. Now, to our audience, many of you have signed up. And there is absolutely one key thing that you need from me, and that's the secret word. We have a secret word that you have to put in. I know you guys are laughing like, what is that? But it's a secret word for you to actually gain access to your certificates so you can get credit. We definitely want you to get credit. So let me go ahead and pop that in so you can see that. And I'll post it. It is case sensitive. The secret word is learn, believe it or not. It's capital LEARN. That is pretty much what you will put in as you receive the email. If you did not receive the email, of course, you can email TCCA and let them know that you did not, even though you were registered for a course. If you were not registered for this course, that's the only way you won't get the email. So I just wanted to make you abreast of that. We are soon to be about out of time, but I just want to say thank you so much, Flipping Good Text. Hey, you guys, stick around. They have so many other I guess sessions that you guys are doing. I know we have one more right after this. So I look forward to seeing you guys all day. We're here all day. Hopefully you'll be tuned in all day. You'll just have snacks and goodies and oh well, it doesn't matter. Just come in and learn. We'll see you guys later. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thanks, everybody.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank